What's going on, everybody? Welcome to WHM On Screen Live. My name is Andrew Jupin, and we're here to talk to you about some movies that haven't come out yet, some that are coming out pretty soon, and some that, well, you can maybe watch at home right now. And I'm going to bring in two dudes who have just been watching a ton of movies with me the last few weeks now. We have Mr. Chris Cabin.
Hello.
Yeah. What's going on, dude?
Oh, nothing much. Just sitting here and waiting for you to call me into this thing. Just the normal things.
Life
things
of the fast lane, dude. I love it. And of course, you know him, you love him, Mr. Eric Siska.
Hello. Yes, Chris Cabin called into the principal's office today.
Was I?
Well, you're waiting to be called into the office, and now you're in the office, and now we're gonna have a talking with you.
Oh, okay. Here,
talking.
A talking. Good talking.
You know what's funny is you guys have attended way more of these New York film festivals than I have. This is the first year I've gone through these press screenings. And Chris, I used to think that, film critics and people who go to these things, oh, they're just having the time of their life. They're just having fun. But now that I've been through it and sat through movies all day long, you're tough as the troops, my friend.
Sure.
It is hard to sit there all day, and I've definitely taken a few screenings standing up towards the end of the night, so it's just the stamina you need to get through these screenings.
Well, you got to lug all those movies up to your brain all day long and just like in and out. It's a lot of hard work, and I'm not gonna go as far as say the troops, but like definitely firemen and cops I think are generally just more cowardly than I am in their choice of profession. That's just my general feeling.
I think you're onto something.
I might be.
Hey, so we should get into it. We got a lot of movies to talk about. We'll get right into it. The first one was something we saw earlier in the week, made a big splash, of course, and that is the new one from our boy Todd Field, Mr. I Make a Movie Once Every 15 Years. This is Tar from Focus Features, of course, with Cate Blanchett. Out now in New York and LA, of course. Goes wide in another couple weeks. They're platforming this sucker, which is the move, because I think this is a hard sell.
Oh yeah, but I also think it's just go with the Blanchett of it, and I think that's what they've been doing for the most part. Is just be like, it's Blanchett, and like you kind of remember Todd Field, don't you? Huh? Remember In the Bedroom-ish that people got nominated? I think people won for that movie. Maybe did Sissy Spacek win for that?
It was definitely among Hollywood's biggest night. I think it had some award recognition.
It absolutely did. And then Little Children, of course, had some. I think Jackie Earle Haley for playing that very sophisticated pedophile.
It's about sophisticated as it get.
But yeah, like I think it's a very good idea just to be like, it's Blanchett doing everything, and it really is. Like I can't really argue against the. It is probably her best performance. I
think so.
I don't know where else I would go. Carol is in the conversation probably, but this is just kind of wall to wall, letting her do everything she wants to do, and it works. I think it works for the most part.
And she's good at it. She's good at what she does. She's very good at what she does. I'll say another good supporting performance here is Nina Haas, playing Tar's partner. She's totally great. It's one of those movies where it's like, yeah, you can talk about like the supporting performances and things, but it's really like the sound design and the direction of this Blanchett performance. I mean, it's shot fine enough, it looks good.
It's Terrence Davey, the guy Florian something, I'm gonna forget their name, but they shot A Quiet Passion and The Deep Blue Sea for Terrence Davies, which I definitely saw some hints of that kind of look in what this was going for. But you're absolutely correct. Like Nina Haas is great in the moments where she gets to be on the screen and really take command of the movie. But it is all the plus and the negative here is that it's Blanchett and it's just her doing her thing.
And to say something you guys haven't, the production design, everything feels very researched. Everything feels very really I don't know, it was sort of giving me vibes of I know it's not like this movie in the end, but like Phantom Thread, like the attention to detail of this
Yes.
world that I know nothing about and I'm being dropped into.
Sure.
Then the costumes, I want to dress as Lydia Tarr from now on. I really loved the looks she was serving up.
Yeah, no, like the costume design is so great. I mean, speaking of Phantom Thread, there's a nice montage where you see her, getting fitted for, a suit that she winds up wearing at the end of the movie. Yeah, it, looks great, sounds great. I would say definitely try to see this in a theater. The sound design for all of the, orchestrations that she's conducting is just magnificent.
Oh yeah, I hate the fact that like you're gonna be able to see the next, Marvel fart machine in IMAX, and you're not gonna be able to see something like this on an IMAX, which is where it would probably do very well, I think, if like I mean, I know they probably didn't shoot in that kind of frame, but like it is such a huge movie.
Yeah, but like, it's we're going towards the Oscar season. This is we're headed towards Hollywood's biggest night. And all the older people, do older people go to IMAX as much as younger
if it's
people?
available? I don't think they know the difference. If you're gonna
Tell me where the movie's playing. That's where I'll go.
Is this the London Tube? Why is everything roundy?
Oh, Harold, you know what? It's probably more expensive because it's the better movie. That's probably why. They gave us the better version of the movie than the other ones. It's not anything to do with the screen.
I will say, so this opened, like I said, New York and LA. It's only in 2 theaters here in New York. And I was looking at the grosses. After today, it's going to come close to grossing $100,000 in a weekend on 2 screens. That spells a very nice, hopefully continued run for this movie.
Oh yeah, I think it's going to be around for a bit. I think it will probably give Todd Field another crack. It'll be nice to see if he wants to make another movie.
If he wants to, man, I don't want to pressure that guy into making movies he doesn't want to see. But Eric Siska reports in from the chat that your camera's frozen. Is that true?
Wow, I mean, it looks okay for me, but I mean, they would know better than me, huh? Right? Let me see if I can. Maybe if I bump down that resolution.
Ooh, try that.
Do you see me now?
Oh, I see.
Yeah. There you go.
You look beautiful.
Chat, sound in. If you can see and hear me, my internet is dog shit, and it's a weekend, so that means I don't know. People are playing computers right now, and
people are playing computers. Someone said that they wanted to watch Tar in 4DX. I'd like to see that. Your ass would be a rumbling with all the orchestra stuff.
You're gonna smell a lot of mahogany, a lot of wooded things. I think a lot of. Home smells, if you will.
Absolutely. So we'll move on here. We got a lot to cover, like I said. But that's a 3-around go see Tar. Now this next one, this is just you boys. I did not get to this one. Had a super fun migraine the day of the press screening.
Oh yeah.
But the new one from Paul Schrader, Master Gardener.
Wow, dude, I'm afraid for when this movie hits and Twitter can see it and all the debates and the discourse, as they call it.
Yeah.
Oh my Lord. It's gonna be some upheaval there, but I really liked it. I think Joel Edgerton is fantastic in it. Sigourney Weaver's great. Chris, what did you think?
Oh no, I loved it. I mean, I love Schrader's whole like scaled back, like I mean, he wrote a book on Bresson, and like these are the most Bressonian movies he's ever made in his life. They're so scaled back, so simple.
Yeah.
And his flourishes are bigger clearly than any of the transcendental guys he always talks about being influences on him.
Ozu, Bresson, Carl Dreyer.
Dreyer, yes. Those are the big 3. I think he had some secondaries, but those are the big ones. But Bresson is the one, just because of the characters he chooses, that I tend to think is probably the bigger influence on this style. I will watch anything in this style at this point. The First Reformed, Card Counter, and this all to me are like great just in how economical they are, how much they give the central performers what like meat to eat. And like as you said, Eric, Sigourney Weaver, who I haven't seen like really putting her back into it in so long, is just so good and it's like playing this wild character. Yeah. And Eric, I mean, I'm sorry, Andrew, you were saying before that they've been having some trouble finding distribution for this baby. And considering how critically loved Card Counter and First Reformed are, I have to imagine it's a story, and I don't want to say anything about it.
Yeah.
Because it is quite it's a bomb when it goes off.
Uh-huh.
But like I have to imagine that's the reason. And as you said, Eric, I think Bill Jabiri said when the discourse on this starts, I'm going to throw my phone into the Adriatic. And I absolutely agree with him. I don't want to hear any. I really don't want to hear any of it.
Yeah.
Do you think it'll be more or less insufferable than the blonde discourse?
Oh man, I would say less probably, but the character so I'm not giving anything away, but the character has a dark past, and I feel like there's going to be a lot of debate around it.
Yep.
But sort of jumping off from Tar, this movie also has a fantastic sense of the world it's developing, and there's definitely research and expertise into all this flower stuff. I actually really loved the parts of the movie where it's just Joel Edgerton like writing in a journal about flowers.
Oh, it's amazing.
Oh, wow.
It's great.
It's just wonderful. The stuff with him just alone, and that's thing. I like Joel Edgerton, but I never was like wowed by him. This was where I was like, I'm absolutely wowed by him. The dark past stuff. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if this ever gets to the light of day. It probably would be next year, more than likely, I would imagine.
At this point, nobody's going to pick it up fresh and put it out for the end of the year. I just wonder though. And just yes or no, darker than Oscar Isaac's past in Card Counter.
That's up for debate, but I would say it's a coin flip.
More interesting,
relevantly,
got it.
A little more immediate in its disgust, I guess.
Okay. All right, let's move on to one where the discourse ain't gonna pick up a lick of it, and that's totally fine. The master documentarian himself, Fred Weissman, his foray sort of into narrative filmmaking of the new film A Couple.
And I reviewed this. And listen, I'm not trying to dunk on the man. I've loved his work since high school when I saw High School.
Oh yes.
Totally.
But this one is a couple of yawns.
Oh, excellent. Well done, dude.
Didn't you have an encounter during this too?
I did. Thankfully, I was not the subject of the encounter. The person next to me got encountered. And what I mean by that is the movie's starting, and this is one of the first ones I saw at the festival. So
very early on. Yeah.
I thought this was going to be like how it was going to be from now on, but it wasn't, which is both good and bad. Maybe bad that there wasn't more of these type of people. So someone like wrinkled a water bottle next to me, and then someone right behind them like pointed down at them and said, "Better not happen during the movie."
Nice. Wow.
Better not happen during the movie.
Wow.
You better not be having that water during the movie.
The copper. You got a copper behind you. You had somebody who was with. I mean, I kind of get that for this movie where like you will. Like you have to be listening if you you have to be paying attention to everything because it's not much. That's given.
No, not at all. I mean, so real quick, the movie is the actress Natalie Boutefeu. I probably butchered that last name. Apologies. You know her from a ton of French stuff. I recently saw her in the Irma Vep film.
Really,
she's
good.
In that. Yeah. But it's her playing Tolstoy's wife, and it's really her just like reciting letters, monologues, talking at the camera as if she's speaking to Tolstoy. It just did not work for me, mainly because, I mean, my dude has been making these incredible documentaries in a very specific style for fucking, 60 years?
Something like that, yeah.
He puts that same kind of aesthetic to this movie, and it, my brain is just so poisoned by like documentary type narrative shit like The Office and Parks and Rec. Even now with like Abbott Elementary, we're still doing that in television. So I see these weird like punch-ins, these little like zooms here and there, a lot of artificial things for what is essentially otherwise like a period piece. The whole thing just didn't come together for me. Thank Christ it's only 65 minutes.
Well, the punch-ins and stuff, it's like he had to do in a way because all this is a woman talking to the camera for an hour. and she's good, but that it can't sustain itself, in my opinion.
I liked it a lot more than you guys did.
Yeah.
It is very not for everyone, that is for sure. It's very slow. I think I think it's pretty moving. I mean, Wiseman's wife died last year, I think. And I felt like that kind of had an underlying thing of how this was being made and the way he talks. And I can't suggest it for everyone, but yeah, at 64 minutes, hey, if you like Tolstoy or anything Wiseman, like maybe give it a shot. But yeah, not for everybody for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's a good way to put it. I mean, because even though it didn't work for me, if you're a fan of Wiseman's work, I still think check it out. It's shorter than an episode of fucking Rings of Power. So there's that going for it. And I don't know, who knows? If you're new to Weissman, maybe it's a way you break into his work, man. He's sort of a guy that it's hard to sort of break in on what he's doing, and maybe this is an entry point. I don't know.
It could work. I mean, he's done only, I think, 2 other fiction works in his life, and they're also very short. And I haven't seen either of them. They're hard. His work is not always easy to see, period. But those are especially not easy to see.
Yeah. So, this one does open November 11th here in New York at Film Forum is where it'll have its premiere. Of course, Fred Weissman, puts out his own movies via Sephora Films. And this will be handled, as always, by the good folks at M. Tuckman Media. Shout out to Michael Tuckman, one of the best in the biz, y'all. Love that guy. Anyway, moving on here. I think one of the best of the year, and maybe something for, you guessed it, Hollywood's biggest night. I love just saying that now. It's so stupid and lovely.
Well, now that we're doing like this Siskel and Ebert kind of preview show, we can say that all the time.
That's true. This is Aftersun. It's the narrative feature debut from filmmaker Charlotte Wells. She also wrote it. This one coming out limited release on October 21st from our good friends at A24. I fucking loved this movie in spite of how cripplingly sad it is.
Oh yeah,
I think this is the best that I've seen so far at the fest. I really love it. I really responded to it, and a feature debut like this is kind of staggering.
Oh yeah. Keep your eyes on whatever the fuck Charlotte Wells does after this. That's for sure.
I think she'll be doing a lot. I mean, this is pretty assured. I'm not crazy about the very, very ending, but that's a very small bump for me. Everything else about it is incredible. Its sense of the female gaze, I thought, was really stunning, and like desire at that age, I thought was really, really breathtaking. Honestly, I don't see stuff like that if I'm not watching Catherine Breillat. And it's certainly not as gruesome as she can get, but similarly charged in that way that I don't often see with movies about young women.
That's a great call. I can see a path from Aftersun back to like Fat Girl or something.
Yes,
for sure. Just really quickly, to summarize, there's a daughter named Sophie, played by Frankie Corio. This little girl, her acting debut in movies or television is this.
Quite good.
She goes on vacation with her father.
Set in the 90s, by the way. So
very true.
It's
sweet stuff.
It's great. It's the sweet. It really makes that coming of age thing hit for the audience who grew up during it.
Absolutely. And she's on vacation with her dad, played by Paul Mescal, who him as he's in Lost Daughter. He's the hotelier in that or whatever.
He's Mr. Phoebe Bridgers. Let's just
pardon me. Pardon me.
That's what he's known for. I mean, that's
wow. So someone that is potentially being eyed for Hollywood's biggest night has married dating someone who is Grammy's biggest night or music's biggest night.
Music's biggest night, dude. Absolutely.
I don't know if there's a town like Nashville's biggest. I don't know what music.
It's just music's biggest.
Okay, there you
go.
That's fine.
It's universal.
Sure,
that's like love.
Yes. Really good performances. Really good movie. And yeah, he is good in The Lost Daughter. He's also in God's Creatures, the new one from the director of The Fits.
Yeah, also out from A24 this year.
Also, they're really pushing him, and I really like him. I like watching the guy.
He's really great. And I mean, the movie, I don't want to give too much away, but it does this really incredible job of acting like, so it's, as Eric mentioned, it's set mostly in like, I think it's like 96 or something like that. The film structurally jumps forward every now and again to the daughter character in present day, and it is like her watching video footage taken on the vacation and so on, and you start getting like bits and pieces of what's gone on in the life of the daughter and the father since then. No more to be given away but that. And I just thought structurally the way it all sort of plays as like a memory or like a dream was quite ingenious. And I think, though, Chris, it's interesting because I think that same directorial flourish kind of leads to your beef with the ending. But hey, we'll leave that for audiences to decide.
Absolutely.
It's up to you, the people at home.
That's right. It's a choose your own adventure. No, but I will say, so yeah, opening limited on 10/21, excuse me. That doesn't necessarily mean just New York and LA. Keep a lookout for this one if you have like a, independent art house theater near you.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how big A24 is going to go with it. I mean, who knows? They could take it wide as we get closer to Hollywood's biggest night nominations.
Yes.
But see it any way you can, honestly.
Yeah.
Support the film. Great first-time filmmaker. Incredible stuff.
Worth seeking out.
Interestingly enough, from a first-time filmmaker to a straight-up long-working legend, here he is, the new one from Jerzy Skolimowski, Poland's one of Poland's most impressive filmmakers. The new film EO, coming out by our good friends at Janus Films, being handled by Sideshow Films. Opens 11/18 at Film Forum. Again, this is just another like keep your eyes peeled at your local art house. But I got to tell you right off the bat, this is my favorite film I've seen at the festival, and indeed, I think one of the best films of the year. I really loved it.
I mean, it's definitely been one of my favorite of the festival so far. I mean, anything dirty Jerzy Skolimowski gives me, I will take. Like I've liked his late stuff, some like 4 Nights with Anna, 11 Minutes.
11 Minutes is fucking great.
What's the other big one that I'm forgetting like an absolute fucking idiot? Oh, Essential Killing.
Yeah.
The only time I've liked Vincent Gallo. It really is just another like it's taking on Bresson's Alcazar Balthazar is such like an asshole older guy thing to do, to just be like, fuck it, I'm just gonna mess with one of the best movies ever made. Fuck it, why not?
Sure.
And he does his own thing with it, and it totally hit me. It was everything about it hit me.
I think this one played for you guys better than it did for me. There's a lot I do like about it. I mean, audience, it's talking to the folks at home listening to this. It's a donkey going on a little adventure, which is fun as hell.
Yes.
But
yes,
I think there are a few moments that it kind of didn't really nail it for me. I think there might be a moment of right-wing panic that was shoved into the movie a little bit, but
that scene's interesting, and I think you could debate it. Yeah, for sure. And I think, and your read of that, I think, is just as valid as any other reading of the scene, for sure. I'm not saying you're wrong there at all.
And for all I know, maybe I am, but I mean, I think there's very good flourishes with the direction. I think there's a lot that is good about the movie. It's just not my favorite of the fest by any means.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, I loved just like visually what he's doing with shit, and it's so funny because like we were literally going into the screening talking about like how cool it is that he is such a visual director and loves playing with like experimental imagery and stuff. And I gotta say, like, some of these shots of this fucking donkey, man, like, are just really cool. And he was saying in an interview, one of the points of the film that he wanted to really push out there is like to have human beings sort of reevaluate their relationship to animals and how we think about animals, intelligence and sensitivity and and things like that. And fuck if I was not doing exactly that watching the movie without knowing that he said it before. I read that after the fact. So
you fall in love with this donkey, you root for this donkey,
It's a phenomenal donkey. I really cannot speak more. I
Good
mean,
at-
You got yourself one phenomenal donkey there, buddy.
That's the
It
best ass acting I've seen since pornography.
absolutely, Eric, you're correct on that. I would say
pornography, by the way, just a pornography on the whole.
Yeah.
it's also like his most punchiest movie. Like 11 minutes is like its own thing just because of the formal idea there is so radical. Like,
Yeah,
but like I've never seen a movie his cut like this, where like every image is really like meant to like feel like a swing. Like
yeah.
it's he usually plays out like Essential Killing and For Nights with Anna, at least, were both very like long takes, quiet takes. This is a very lively movie.
Yes.
I was really surprised.
I mean, I
and
think
happy.
to a degree you have to do that, right? Because so much of the movie is dialogue free. Because this ain't no Eddie Murphy donkey.
No.
He's
No,
not
it's not.
talking and singing and whatnot.
No,
This
he's not.
donkey's
Thank
just
God.
standing around in various situations, and you are much like Oh Who's Art Balthazar, like just seeing how other people, interact with it or interact around it. And so on. I want to bring up the poster again. Just look how fucking badass this
Yeah.
guy looks. Hell yeah.
Look at that.
Hell yeah,
Beautiful-
EO. Fucking
beautiful
rule,
little donkey
dude.
right
Yeah,
there.
but some of the Polish soccer people he comes across do look like Shrek. So you get a little bit of
Bog creatures, a couple bog creatures
Yeah,
you'll find
yeah.
around here.
There's definitely some soccer hooligans in this movie that are straight up fucking bog people. Absolutely. So let's go a complete 180 here from narrative territory with not a lot of talking to documentary territory with a ton of talking. This was an extremely beautiful movie. All That Breathes, directed by Shonak Sen, coming out via Submarine Deluxe. And again, Sideshow handling this. Opening 10/21 here at Film Forum. This is going to be a real seek it out, folks, not a massive distribution list for this movie. Quite stunning, though. In what
very
it is.
good.
Yeah.
Go
ahead, dude.
The plot detail, it's sort of like there's like hundreds of birds falling out of the sky because of climate change, this, that, and the other thing in India. And they're just like running this little bird hospital trying to get these birds the help that they need. And their compassion is beautiful. Their struggle in trying to get the hospital up and running, and just how you start to realize how terrible the world is when you start hearing them describe about how these birds are essentially evolving to deal with humanity's like excrement. It's wild movie. It's really worth seeing.
I think a great tidbit that you get in this movie that exemplifies exactly what you're talking about as far as the animal evolution, and I thought this was stunning, was they talk about at one point these birds, some of the birds, and this is, we should say, in this is above Delhi in India. Some of the birds have adapted to they're changing the register of their bird song in order to have other birds hear each other over the fucking noise pollution.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, holy shit, man. I mean, you're talking about a massive evolutionary jump in what's a relatively short period of time.
Well, yeah.
I mean, fucking terrifying.
Everybody said Idiocracy's a documentary now. Crimes of the Future is a documentary now.
Absolutely.
That's just, and also this movie, it's a gorgeous movie. Also, it's shot so fucking well. And it's similarly like EO. They screened right next to each other. I think probably on purpose,
back to back. Yeah.
Also is very much about having to respect animals as part of the ecosystem and not just as something you eat and look at in a zoo.
Something I look at.
Stuff, other things. It has to be other things than that. And it's short. It's and they stick to the details. They're not over sentimentalizing it or over doom saying anything. It's just a very calm, cooled look at a very lovely operation that they have going on in Delhi, even though in the middle of hell, it looks like.
Yeah. And you, boy, the team that they have, so the two main guys are brothers, and then there's a third person helping out in the operation. And it's just also, shit, talk about good, selfless work. You know what I mean? You don't get a ton of that these days, in documentaries. So it's a weird thing of on the one hand, shit feels totally hopeless. These birds are totally fucked, right? But then on the other hand, here's this like shining beacon, like these two guys trying to get this hospital up and running. I don't know. Really, really dug it. I should say, Eric, are you still with us?
I am with you, unless I'm not.
No.
Well, audio is
you
still
froze
here.
again.
Okay. Oh my Lord! I guess my my video is gone again for the beautiful people.
Well, no, now
you
you're
kinda
moving a
came
little
back.
bit. Yeah, no, and I think when you notice it, you start moving on the screen too.
We just have to acknowledge it.
Okay,
Freddy Krueger.
You're connected
now
to it.
on the back end of this. I've now I started HD, went to standard def, and now I'm at 360 video. So hopefully this works out for everyone.
Oh, I don't know. It's still frozen here.
You look gorgeous either way.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. It's a fantastic visage.
Yeah, we'll pretend that you're like on location somewhere.
Yes.
And this is the file photo that we decided to use.
Yes.
But yeah, I will say use this time to quickly tell another screening story here because it was in betwixt these two movies here. We covered them in the reverse order that they played. So All That Breathes played first, or EO played. What the fuck? Way did it go?
EO played last.
EO was last.
It was
All That Breathes first.
All That Breathes, and EO.
So between All That Breathes and EO, we're in the theater. Everybody's like waiting for the movie to start. All of a sudden, and the three of us, I should say, are like in the front. All of a sudden, from the back of the theater, you just hear like, "Well, no, I have to sit here. You're sitting in a handicap seat." And I was like, "Uh-oh!" And like kind of like my fucking radar for like theater shenanigans started blowing up, and I was like, "All right, got to start paying attention to this." And this guy's like, "All right, well, I'll just move over one, but we've been sitting here." And this lady's like, "Well, it's a handicap seat." And the guy's like, "All right, well, you can sit here." And then this lady's like, "Well, no, you have to move over 2 seats because this seat is for my companion." And the guy's like, "What?" And she's just like, "You're sitting in a companion seat. You can't sit here. This is my handicap seat, and this is my companion seat." And it turns into like a whole thing. And you're just like watching it, like, all right. And it seems to diffuse. Everything seemed at the time to diffuse itself. Everybody was sitting their asses down, So we sit for the film. Lights go down. Opening seconds of EO. Get the awesome Janus Films logo I've loved since high school, Then all of a sudden, you just hear this like, no, I won't move. You should have got to the theater on time then. No.
It has to be underlined just how like shot, like it sounded like what the last screams of the Black Dahlia were. It was like, it's shocking. Like just as this movie is starting up, you just hear like, no. And it was just like, it's over a seat, lady. Like,
yep.
God damn.
And then it was like, I don't want to sit next to you. I don't want to sit. But then, like, and then here's where the guy lost it. He lost all standing, excuse me, standing or credibility. Because you just hear like a very pointed, like, "Oh yeah, well go fuck yourself." And I'm like, now you lost the room.
Well, yeah.
You gained
Eric.
You gained me.
You gained Eric.
Yes.
You got one defender in the.
In my head, I was like, "Smooth move, dude. However, you've lost the room." And then you started hearing a lot of people like, "Come on," like grumbling and whatnot. Now, Eric, you take it from here because I think we had the suspect caught on foot.
Okay, now and then some guy runs down. I'm near the front row. He shuffles in next to me and he sits down. And I think he's the culprit. And he's kind of looking behind himself, like what's going on. I think there was like a phone flashlight that went on, and he was like, "Oh no, there's someone coming to get me." And then he sits down for like 15 minutes, gets up, leaves, never comes back.
Yep.
So I think he fled the scene, but he was probably in the right. I don't know. I just know the Grampies are wilding out at these screenings.
They always have. Eric, this is a long-standing tradition of the New York Film Festival, is old people wilding out. That is what they do here. And I don't see why you have to do shit like that, man. You're disturbing poor old Jay Hoberman. He's just trying to watch his Polish friend's movie. Like the fucking what you got to fucking start this ruckus for?
It was wild, man. And the other thing to consider about these press screenings, just for folks want a little insider info, not only are they press people and industry people like I used to be, like a film programmer and whatnot, but there's also donors. You get the big money people that they let into these early screenings. And I get it. You have to acquiesce to donors. Like, that's totally a part of this thing. But those motherfuckers should also learn how to behave and shouldn't be throwing shit out like, do you know who I am?
Whoa.
Do you know how much money I get?
Absolutely
just like,
not.
let's pretend like we're all part of the same fucking human race.
We
everybody.
can't. No, we got to compare pocketbooks.
Eric's correct. You can't do this. So what you have to do with these people is when you let them into the early screenings. I understand that you have to do that shit. Put the Silence of the Lambs mask on them, and just so that it's muffled. It can't I don't want to hear it too clearly. That's the problem, is that you're hearing it very loudly and at a sharp tone. If it's muffled in that way, then you're fine.
This is a good idea of an accessory for them. Maybe a shock collar that
would also do
be zapped.
Whenever they hit a certain volume, it has to I think that's correct. Also a good idea, Eric. Something's got to be done because they're really getting out of control.
But that said, I'm sure they're all great people, and we retract everything.
Thank you for funding the arts, I guess.
Well, yeah,
I'm sure
I
you're
mean,
going to be
it's
fun at Armageddon time.
Oh shit, you're right. Fuck. I mean, all right. So, here's the thing. Yeah, you make so much of this possible, and these institutions are so appreciative of it. But also, just don't be a fucking asshole. It's so easy. Yeah. It's so easy to not be a fucking asshole in public. And I know that sometimes I fail too, but everybody try to do better. And yeah, let's not fucking compare pocketbooks with the fucking ticket taker. Okay. It's gauche. It's rude. It's fucking inhuman. Something so inhuman as that to something so totally human and beautiful. The new film Senior, from our good friend Chris Smith, of course, from American Movie and Jim and Andy.
The Good Fire movie, the Good Fire Festival movie. He made the good one. The other one is not good, but he made the good one.
But this, what I think, very good movie. The senior in question is, of course, Robert Downey Sr., and it's the story of him and his totally anonymous and non-famous son, Robert Downey Jr. No, I mean, it's this beautiful movie, man, where it's RDJ got together with Chris Smith, and it's let's make a movie of my old man in his, final years to see if I can crack this nut, if I can understand this guy. And that is truly a universal thing. Understanding your father. Are you ever going to get to do it? And, this movie, I could see, Chris, you were saying it's a little navel gazing or whatever. But I mean, I thought it was so beautiful seeing them together. And I think the main thing to get out of this too, more people need to see Robert Downey's movies.
Yes. I mean, I think that's probably the best lesson that the movie can impart is just these movies are fantastic. I really suggest you look into what he's been doing. I mean, just spending time with the man is a very, I mean, I say it's navel gazing. It is, but it's also I get it. These are two. I mean, other than the Douglases, who else has this kind of weight in a two punch like this? It doesn't happen that often. So I kind of have to let them have it the way.
Oh, Chris, I got one. Sorry, Damon Wayans and Damon Wayans Jr.
That's fair. That's a fair point. And they can also have their Netflix movie when if there's a Homie the Clown Take Two kind of thing going here. I'm very, very happy. I'll be fine with that shit. But look, yes, if the Douglases get their It Runs in the Family movie that was released in theaters, by the way,
sure was.
I think they deserve a senior.
Wasn't that also what the latest generation? The grandson was in that too, but now he's waiting to be released from a jail cell. Is that right?
Oh, is that I have not followed their.
There was some. I think there was something.
I know he struggled with substance abuse for a while. Yes. So yeah, I don't know if he's currently doing time unjustly or what the deal is there.
But I want to mention
Kirk Douglas, also famously dead, dude.
Also, yes, he's also not with us anymore.
Yes. I didn't get to see this one, but to let We Hate Movies fans know, you want to check out Robert Downey Sr. because that's where the long-running bit of "You Want the Monkey to Fuck Her" is from one of his films.
And there's the scene with the monkey in question is in the movie.
Oh, yes, the monkey's
make
in the
an
movie.
appearance. The monkey is in the movie, and they covered late senior movies, like the ones that like I it's not easy to see some of this stuff.
No. And I'll say this, not Hugo Poole. Hugo Poole's not an episode. But his what the fuck is it? Up the Academy.
Yes.
His like first Hollywood movie that even in the movie says is dog shit. It's like an 80s like slobs versus snobs military school movie.
Oh, I like that, dude.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane movie.
I'll plug it here because I think this movie's going to do wonders for it. But just to recommend the Criterion released Eclipse DVD set of it's called Up All Night with Robert Downey Sr. That's got a good chunk of his early films in it. That is also the box set with all of the Paul Thomas Anderson interviews, including the one where RD Sr. does tell the story about the guy asking him, "Do you want the monkey to fuck her?" That's in that DVD set, so you got to check it out at least for that. Also, Scorpion Releasing did a Blu-ray release of Greaser's Palace, which is a fabulous movie, and Vinegar Syndrome did a Blu-ray release of Putney Swope as well in 2019. Greaser's Palace, I'll say, really just quick story about it. So nice thing in the senior documentary, they talk about his relationship with PTA. Now PTA is just like this insane, RD senior fan and everything, hence the interviews as the supplemental footage and whatnot. But there's footage of PTA at the Austin Film Festival talking about Robert Downey's movies, and there sitting next to him in the Q&A is Jonathan Demme. So all of a sudden pops on screen, here's JD, right? So it reminded me of ages ago at the old place, JD asked to book Greaser's Palace. He had this monthly series, Rarely Seen Cinema, total just like Jonathan movie DJ, picked whatever he wanted. He wanted to do Greaser's Palace. So we do Greaser's Palace, and Senior comes up for the screening.
Nice.
And the screening series had like a really hardcore following. Like JD had his fans big time. So they would just like, you didn't even have to know what the movie was. It was just like, Jonathan's going to be there. We're going to talk about this movie. And that was enough, So here's Greaser's Palace. And I'm sure, people in that audience definitely knew the films of Robert Downey, but who knows when you had last seen Greaser's Palace. And the place was packed, was the point I was trying to make. Place was packed. And man, let me tell you, like Senior, just like a pig in fucking shit. Like here's 250 people that came out to see this movie I made back in the 70s. It was one of those like truly fucking like heartfelt great moments. Because I mean, the thing that people may or may not know, I mean, he was so underground,
right?
And the fame of The Sun and The Other Way, like that's why this doc's important. Like because he totally, understandably, of course, there's no malice in that, but like gets overshadowed by, the accomplishments of his son. But this dude made some fucking cutting, experimental, edgy ass shit, and it deserves to be seen. And this movie from Chris Smith, Netflix is putting it out sometime later this year. No release date yet set, but good shit.
Some Prime interviews also, like you don't get like, I like that they don't overwhelm it too much. Like that was kind of my problem with that Sparks documentary, is that there's almost too many talking heads.
Yes.
This, they just picked two as for like they talked to his partner, but they also talked to Alan Arkin.
Yes.
And Norman Lear are the two major guys that they get to talk. And it's just like funny. Look at the Alan Arkin, who must have been so pissed off at Robert Downey Sr. all the time, from what it sounds like. He sounds like he just was constantly annoyed by him, which is just wonderful to think about.
It's totally great. It's a great series of, and you're totally right. It's very much all access to the Downey clan. And these talking heads are here and there. Pardon me. But there's something really great about that. And the cool thing, and I really hope, let's put it out there. We'll put it out into the ether and see what the universe can come up with. I hope for a disc release of this movie because, and Eric, you'll find this cool, in the movie, what's going on is Chris Smith says that the only way, or I think RDJ says it on screen, the only way to get Senior to agree to let them do this was if they would agree to let him make his own cut of the footage.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
So throughout the movie, you see Robert Downey Sr. working on the movie, like in the edit bay and everything. And I would love to fucking see that because it's like probably 45 minutes,
I would tell you, I would bet anything that the movie is going to be They get Senior, which has Iron Man talking with his dad. That's the Netflix view of things. Then, because Netflix has the deal with Criterion puts out a version of this with the Senior cut as supplemental material.
I'll tell you this. That's a great fucking idea, dude. And let's expand it a little farther and put this out into the universe. For Criterion, or whomever, fucking pick it up, whatever.
Sure.
But you are right. Netflix does have the deal with them. 3-film box set, Criterion Blu-ray of Chris Smith movies. Fucking Jim and Andy, also Netflix. This, Netflix. And then American Movie, which you'd have to deal with Sony Classics, figure that shit out. But how a good fucking Chris Smith triple feature of awesome documentaries.
You're probably not going to get the American Movie, but you would get the Fire Festival doc that way.
Oh, right. That was Netflix too, wasn't it? Okay.
Yeah, they did that, so.
We should mention, if people don't know, we actually did a commentary track to American Movie. That's on our Patreon. If you're listening to this as audio, it's at the $8 level is the commentary tracks, and you probably already know, to Chris's point. But if you're watching this on YouTube, where we're also broadcasting it for free, the Patreon, we have a commentary to American Movie.
Hell yeah. Indeed. Should say, by the way, be sure, we got to get into the habit of this as we do more, YouTube live streams, you guys, but like and subscribe this channel. We're coming on here more. We're doing more here. Be sure to like and subscribe.
We're trying to do the thing.
Trying to do the thing.
We're gonna figure out this camera and internet one day.
We're figuring it
out. Someone who is definitely doing the damn thing is the artist Nan Golden in the new Laura Poitras doc, All the Beauty and the Bloodshed. I'll just talk about this one quickly because I was the only one at the screening. It was the centerpiece of the festival. And Laura Poitras, of course, tons of docs. Citizen 4 was probably her biggest movie you may have seen. This is all about Nan Golden, who is a brilliant photographer and slideshow, photo slideshow creator. Came up in the 60s, very politically active artist. And so what this movie does, it's really great. Cuts back and forth, sort of talking about her political activism in the 80s during the AIDS epidemic, and how she used art here in New York and elsewhere to, protest the government, complete lack of assistance or care with that. And it sort of parallels that with the work she's doing in the present day with a group that's called PAIN, which I don't know the acronym for, but basically it's a group of survivors or people who have been affected by the opioid crisis. And she herself was addicted to opioids for a while, is in recovery. And this group, what they're doing, their big deal, and what the film mostly follows, is their efforts to get museums and other, cultural institutions to stop accepting money and take this, sponsorship names down of people from the Sackler family. And if you don't know the Sacklers, they are the family
sack of shitlers.
The devils.
Sack of shitlers, absolutely. They own Purdue Pharma. They're basically, they're responsible for the opioid crisis in this country.
Essentially,
yes. If you follow the fucking money,
and they get their fancy name on fancy buildings.
Mm-hmm. And so what is incredible. Yeah, and what these incredible people are doing are holding protests at places like this. So you see, they do a die-in at the Met, and they do a big protest and a die-in at the Guggenheim, and I think they do the National Portrait Gallery. All of these, a lot of big institutes. They do the Louvre at one point, and it's all in protest of like, stop taking money from these fucking people. Take their fucking names down. So it's just like that whole process, and so just seeing like how Nan Golden has been like in the fight, using her artistic power, to help, because she's in here like, oh, hey, cool. You want to do a retrospective of my photos? Stop taking money from these fuckers. Mm-hmm. Oh, you're not going to? Can't have my photo exhibit. Like, so she is like throwing her artistic world weight around in such an incredible way. And Poitras does an incredible job of documenting it all. It's so fucking like life affirming and heartbreaking and frustrating. You just want to see these people fucking tarred and feathered in the street, man, for what they have done. to people, you know, and these folks are indeed out there fighting the good fight. So we'll see what's going on. You know, it hits New York 11/23, and there's going to be some sort of limited release starting December 2nd. This is from our good friends at Neon Rated. Seek it out. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, no, please. You were the one who saw it, but I from what I've been seeing, I would say I'm sorry, Hollywood's Biggest Night.
Thank you. Thank you.
This would probably be your front runner for documentary.
Yes.
From literally everybody I talk to loves this movie. Everybody is all 10 out of 10. No, I'm not hearing any 5s or 6s or 7s. It's all 10s out of 10s. So I would be seeking this out pretty quickly.
Yeah. It's gonna be, I mean, I almost said it's gonna be a good time. It's not gonna be a good time. It's going to be an incredibly watchable example of the power of documentary filmmaking.
I love that Chris was counting the 10s there. You know?
Counting
him go by.
Counting tens.
Yup, there's another 10. That's another 10 for Beauty and the Bloodshed.
Let's see if we can get 10 10s.
I think they're lining up for Hollywood's Biggest Night.
You know, I never really once got an offer to go to the Academy Awards. Guess they're just waiting for when I'm nominated for something.
Why don't they put the big letters next to the Oscars like they do the Super Bowl? I think they should do that so I can see how many 10s of Oscars there's been.
You know, I was out at the movies last night and I saw up on the marquee in big capital letters, it just said Tar. And I thought, man, that's so brilliant. What a way to get people to come to your movie. So for the next movie I'm in, I'm going to suggest all capital letters on the marquee and it's just going to say Jesse.
Tar.
I saw that movie, Tar. I was waiting the whole time for the Anne Feathered.
I thought it was going to be a movie about the dinosaurs, but it's not. I thought they would be trapped. I thought there was a dinosaur escape movie.
Yeah, I kept leaning over to the guy next to me saying, when are we getting to the La Brea tar pits?
I mean, I thought it was a whole documentary about the La Brea tar pits. Scenes filmed there from one of my all-time favorite movies, My Girl 2.
I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of that Terry Malick, but at least he put a dinosaur in his movie like you're supposed to. That's what you're supposed to do, is put a dinosaur in the middle of it.
And that movie didn't even have the promise of tar in it. And Terry had the foresight he says, you know, I know my buddy Jesse's going to be watching Tree of Life. Better put a dino in. Jesse loves dinos.
I was in the Thin Red Line, actually. Nobody talks about it because everybody else was in it. I mean, you don't know if I'm lying. I actually could have been. You know how many people were in that fucking movie?
Yeah, they cut out my scene, Chris. I was riding a Stegosaurus.
Of course. Yes, through the plains. Through the swamps.
So that is it for New York Film Festival coverage. We do have a couple more things, some recs and non-recs to toss out to you. And first, something that's currently been in theaters for a while, but I was caught up because I was like, you know, I'm killing time in between screenings for the festival and dinner. Let me see what's still out there. And this is Tom George's See How They Run from Searchlight Pictures. Out now, came out last month. And I got to tell you, what a fucking snooze.
Really?
Whoa.
I mean, and this is a thing.
Thumbs down, folks.
It's a big.
It's a bomb. It's a boom.
It was a big boom. Because you got Saoirse Ronan, who I think is great, but this is like a really goofy comedy. And because as Chelsea pointed out, she's very funny in, you know, Lady Bird, but like this is like goofy comedy, and she's just so terribly ill-suited for it. That it was just like clunker after clunker. Because she is supposed to be like a real goofy, you know, sort of OCD, wacky, overachieving kind of, you know, beat cop, to Sam Rockwell's like totally asleep inspector character. This dude, I don't know if he was actually just like not hyped to be in the movie or thought like the character should be this way. But either way, like either the character or the dude playing the character doesn't care about being in the movie. And it makes you just like, well, then why should I care about being in this movie? That's like a sort of a send up to like a, you know, whodunit kind of thing. But it really is like beating you over the head with like aren't these, mystery whodunits so stupid and by the numbers, but we're also doing that exact same thing. Like, it fucking totally sucked, man. So that's, don't get fooled into it, folks. That was not a good one.
Don't see how they run, folks. Don't see how they do the thing. It's
so
not,
don't run to see how they run.
Yeah, don't do it. Don't do it. That's the trick here.
Which clearly I wasn't running to do because it came out in like mid-September. So.
Sam Rockwell, after you win your Oscar, you're allowed to sleep for like 3 years. I think.
Once you conquer Hollywood's biggest night.
I should have stamped that. You're right, Eric.
Thank you.
I wanted to think, it's not on the notes, but I wanted to press. I think it's in VOD. I don't think it got out in theaters. Worth seeing is Walter Hill's Dead for $1.
Oh shit! Okay.
It's back to, it's very Deadwood. He was very instrumental in the making of Deadwood, and it has very heavy duty Deadwood vibes. Willem Dafoe, Mrs. Maisel, what's her name? Rachel Brosnahan.
It's Mrs. Maisel.
Mrs. Maisel.
Rachel Brosnahan. Yes,
her. Yeah, she is in it as well. It's got a very good cast. Chris Weitz is not Chris Weitz, but
Paul Weitz?
Christoph Waltz.
Oh, Christoph Waltz. Oh, right. Yeah, he's the lead guy. Right?
He's the main guy. And it's worth your time. Little long, but if you like Westerns, it's really worth your time.
I got to check it out. I love a good Western.
I'll have to check out Just Watch to see where that, where that's streaming, Kevin? You got any info on that?
I think it's just for rental for now. It's in a very, very limited release. I think a week ago.
Okay.
But then it's been on rental for I think at the same time.
Got it. Okay. So I think this next thing, another streamer, something that you can, I think, either take or leave. This new Hulu Hellraiser, directed by David Bruckner.
So I have not yet. Both of you gentlemen, I believe, have fiddled with that new puzzle box. What do you think?
We did some fiddling with the puzzle box. I think I liked it a little more than Chris did. I think the story is interesting. I think a couple of the performances are okay. Including what's her face, Odessa Azion, who's like the main character. Riley, she's Pam Adlon's daughter. I just learned via Twitter.
Really, I did not know that.
Everyone's related to someone, which is fine because life is. Yes.
Reminds me a lot of Tatiana Maslany. That she's the delivery and everything like that.
Still
I like
that too.
Yes, absolutely.
And also Jamie Clayton as the priest, aka Pinhead. I thought was a good performance. My biggest beef, one I share with you, Chris, and I don't know if I shared the other one. The one I'm not sure on. Did not care for the Cenobite design.
No,
I need black leather, and there's nary a fucking duster to be found.
Wait, so what are they wearing?
They're like kind of purple, blue. You know what they look like more than anything, Eric? Is Bodies Exhibit corpses that are like red and blue, kind of. I was getting a Bodies vibe.
That would be a good Night at the Museum like movie. The Bodies Exhibit.
Hell yeah, dude.
I mean, I think the stuff might have been, but like, again, this is one of those issues of like, and we'll get into the other issue, like, because I'm not seeing light hit real things. Like it doesn't look real. Like a lot of it was CGI modded. Like it was just clearly they were futzing with all of the creations, not just the ones that need it. Like just like, and like the old Hellraiser, you just made up a guy or a woman or they, them, and anybody. You would just put all the stuff on them, and it looked good. And now it looks like shit. So to cover up the fact that it looks like shit, what do? They make everything so dark that you cannot tell what's going on. Like this is like House of Dragons. I'm fucking my uncle and nobody can see it level. Like, just
you're right. By the way. Where did you say this? On Twitter? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it was on Twitter when you said, of course, nobody could see her getting fingered by her uncle because it was so dark in that fucking cat house.
It's just and nobody can see anything. What the fuck is this for? Like, I know it's for the phones. Like, this helps you see shit on a smaller screen.
Really? Is that it?
That's supposedly the thing. That is supposedly the thing. That's why all this shit is so fucking dark. But like, I haven't seen any evidence of that, so I don't really know. But like,
No.
I got so pissed off at the second half of this movie because you can't watch half of it. It's just noises and like breathing heavy, and not in like a meaningful way, just in a way that we don't have the money to show off what we want to show off.
So it's like my cam tonight. You can't see anything, breathing noises.
Sure. Yes, very similar.
I gotta tell you, Eric, sure, there's been some connectivity issues this evening, but I'll tell you what, dude, you're fucking way more well lit than any of them Cenobites ever turn out to be. So, I'm just gonna leave you with that. But speaking of going to hell, Eric, I'm gonna give this one over to you as we talk about another streaming recommendation: Devil Worship: The Rise of Satanism.
Okay, now this is a Christian Panic 1989 documentary about the rise of Satanism in the United States. You can find it on YouTube. I saw it on some a website streaming movies. I don't want to name them really because I don't want them to be taken down. But you can find it on YouTube, and it is like 60 minutes of the most insane shit you ever hear. But you definitely start to feel like, oh, QAnon was always here. Grooming was always here. It's just taken on a different form now. And back then it was Satanism. And what's so funny about, I really have to stress, you have to watch this. Seeing is believing. It's a lot of fun. I'll tell you, there's, they talk about some dark stuff, like all these cats are being murdered in the woods. They treat it very somberly. And then they'll immediately turn and be just like, and why is that? Well, look media today. I mean, kids are watching He-Man. He-Man instructs them on the dark arts.
What?
And they're like, Satan needs a totem to get into your house. So if you have a He-Man doll, you're just inviting him in, and he doesn't even have to. Satan can take possession of your children.
This is incredible. This reminds me, there's another doc called Jesus Camp that some people might be aware of.
Oh, I gotta check this
out. Very disturbing. But there's a whole point in there where they're like, Harry Potter will make you become a devil worshiper. And like it literally is like 5 minutes of her being like, you cannot let your children read about Harry and his friends because then they will want to become witches.
This sounds extremely similar, but this is the 89 version.
Yes.
So everyone's dressed like it's Rescue 911 or Unsolved Mysteries. So it's just like, it's everything I wanted in a piece of shit, crap ass VHS documentary.
Beautiful.
That's fucking awesome, man. I love it. I'm definitely checking it out. Another thing to check out, because I'm fucking Johnny 4K on the show. New segment, man. Fucking Delicious Disc Media. Here we go.
Sure.
The Friday the 13th 4K from Paramount. Solid stuff. I gotta say, chock full of extra features, which is cool, including cast reunions. But I'll leave it to you to see it and just determine whether or not Kevin Bacon makes an appearance. But also, little self-servingly, plugging that piece of media because later this month on the Patreon, we are debuting the Friday the 13th Mentary. Of course, if you're unfamiliar with these are our famous syncable commentaries where you can watch the movie along with us watching. We are doing the unrated cut, so there's a lot of chatter about Kevin Bacon's death in that movie because that's one of the more uncensored parts or whatever, unrated parts.
I forget if I make a big deal about maybe his dick talking to him or something, but I always do think about that often when it comes to Kevin Bacon. I want to shout out our friend Philip Sobrero. I'm glad he put the axe in my head. I wanted the axe and he gave me the axe. Thank God.
I get the bacon death, which is awesome. You see me on the left here, the little you see the little arrow coming out my throat.
Not bad.
These awesome designs. Eric, you got the archery range death, of course.
Yes. Oh, I would love that. To be a victim or victimizer.
But then also sort of fittingly for these on screens, Steve's decapitated. So
can't talk.
No Steve talking head, unfortunately.
By the way, I see people joining us late in the chat. This will be archived on this channel. You can watch it later, or you can listen to an audio-only version on Patreon at that $5 level.
Yes, sir.
That's right. We're going to keep them over there on patreon.com/WeHateMovies. $5 and up. We'll get you the audio version of this if you want to download it and take it with you to re-listen later. But that's going to do it for week 2 of our New York Film Festival coverage here on Screen Live. Next week will be the 3rd and final week of the festival coverage, and then we'll figure out On Screen Live from there. But until next week, where we'll have a whole slew of new movies to talk to you about. I've been Andrew Jupin.
Eric Siska.
Chris Cabin.
I always delay that because
I
always delay that because
Yep.
I'm always like, where's Steve? Which unfortunately he's not joining us for these, but he'll be joining us on tour. Go to whmpodcast.com/tour and find out where we're playing near you.
Look at that, dude. Yeah, some tour dates coming up in just a few mighty weeks here. It's going to be awesome. All right, folks, that's it for tonight. Have a good night, y'all. Have a good week, and we'll see you next Sunday, 5 p.m., same time, same channel. Adios. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.